shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. Welcome to the shrimp tank. Want to put it all together. This is big things. Doing big things. Chasing big dreams. Yeah, it's all real. This life's all that it seems. All the chicks scream. All the dudes yell. This is just what I do, and I do it well. With the flow fresher than the new shoe smell. Going through hell, but homie, keep going. You know the saying, you can reap what you sow in. So I don't chase girls. I just chase dreams. Play the same game, but we ain't in the same league. Running a campaign, Roadie 2016. Like a phone to die, putting me in charge. I'm a general from the front, I'ma lead the charge. Like a federal, fell in my lap never. Going hard as ever.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Shrimp Tank, powered by Celsius Beverage. As a reminder, you catch all these amazing episodes up on our website, shrimptankpodcast.com. Click over to the city Boca Raton. Check out the last 270 episodes. Yes, we are rolling. We are not shutting this podcast down for nothing. We have now hit 270 plus episodes. And this is the podcast where we get to interview the best and brightest entrepreneurs from South Florida. Always find the do's and don'ts of running a business. And we partner, of course, with the FAU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. And my co-host, Kevin Cox, is back in the studio with myself. We lent it out to Roland Kidwell and Jessica Beaver last week, but we are back. What's happening, Kevin? What should we know?
Oh, well, it's exams week this week. So students are out there probably studying, getting prepared for exams, getting ready on that stuff. Oh, in the areas of entrepreneurship, we're doing some winning like we usually do. So we have some teams competing in national and international competitions around the U.S. and around the world. We just had a team win first place at Georgia's business pitch competition. We won another one in Canada, a team from our school, Pet Healthcare Innovations. And then we had a really interesting solution or treatment for glaucoma, win fifth place at eFest in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're representing well, and our students are well supported and prepared for those external competitions. This week, we're just coming off South Florida's biggest, hugest, most exciting startup convention, or I like to say circus, right? It's just basically a circus for startups, and that is Emerge Americas at the end of last week down in Miami. So that was a really exciting time to get to see all the new up-and-coming startups and later stage companies and a big competition, Pitbull, all the excitement.
I noticed you guys went all in at FAU. There was a new booth. I wasn't able to attend this year. You know, I was out in Las Vegas last week on vacation, but you guys finally put a lot of money into that booth, it sounds like.
Yeah, we had some collaborators from around campus, which was helpful. So College of Medicine, College of Engineering, those things get expensive, but if you can share the cost around the different wonderful units we have in the college and be a little more collaborative, we can have a better presence. And I think we did achieve that this year.
So what's the big shift, right? I feel like a merge happens every year. Everyone gets really excited and everyone says, you know, South Florida has really changed, right? We're all putting money into this local economy. But then, you know, a month or two goes by and we're like, well, it's still not New York. It's not, you know, California, where there's a lot of capital running through those cities. So are you starting to see that shift finally, would you say?
I was just talking to somebody about this. I think, you know, for the earliest stages, there's still just not really any capital, right? Like there's growth capital. There's just not a ton of like seed, really early stage capital, even capital that claims it's that or says they're that. I don't see checks getting cut until there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue coming in. And not many people still consider that, well, that is seed stage. They've maybe done 100 or 200,000. And it's like, well, that's not actually that easy to do. It takes a really long time. It's really hard. But before you find that amount of traction, I just don't see a lot of capital. The market's been tough anyways. So keep working towards that revenue, founders out there. And eventually you will, I think, attract some financiers. But until a little bit of proof of concept and some real revenue coming across the wire, it's tough.
Well, the good news is a lot of these pitch competitions are giving away a lot of free money.
Yeah.
Right. The winner was Andrew, you know, who was on the Shrimp Tank in the past. I think I saw the check. It was like $500,000+. Wow. And, you know, no equity was given out from his brand. Right. So as you go to all these pitch competitions, I know Ignite had one last year. They gave away first prize was like $25,000, and there was only so many people that entered. So, even though there may not be investors in the crowd, you go around to these competitions, just got to be careful. It's not a game of just competition after competition. Like I've always said to you, it's like sometimes like I don't find myself enjoying going to these competitions just to try to look good in front of crowds and win a couple dollars. More of my focus with Owl right now is just focusing on the brand and the community. And I'm going external. I'm actually reaching out to more people on LinkedIn, in New York, in California, where I believe the sources are with the startup funding, of course. Well, enough about, Emerge and what's going on, behind the scenes. Let's get into our guest today and learn about behind the scenes with her business. Today, we have Cristina joining us on the show. She's the founder of Bespoke Aesthetics. I just bombed that one. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your brand, Cristina? Pronounce it the correct way, because I have completely brutally messed that one up.
It's okay. It's a hard word and a hard name to say. So I'm Cristina Monaco. I am the founder, I'm the owner, the face of Bespoke Aesthetics. I am a physician assistant, I like to say by profession, but I always had this knack for entrepreneurship. And in July of 2023, opened up Bespoke Aesthetics in downtown West Palm Beach.
Okay. What is Bespoke Aesthetics?
So Bespoke Aesthetics is, I like to say it's a boutique luxury aesthetics practice, so what we do is all things cosmetic, non-invasive procedures, Botox, fillers, wrinkle relaxers such as Botox, Dysport, Jeuveau, skin tightening that's non-invasive. We do.
Now I understand why Jason wanted to have you on the show so bad.
So
Kevin's been saying for a while now, he thinks it's time that I go to one of these spas, of course.
So come see us, come see me. But yeah, so I've been in the industry for well over 10 years. I started up in New York. I'm from Long Island, always wanted to be in aesthetics, always wanted to be in dermatology. So I started actually in medical dermatology. People always ask me, okay, well, what made you get into this? And really it was because I stayed home from school one day. My mom had an appointment at her dermatologist for Botox cosmetic to get rid of like the lines and wrinkles. I was about 16. I said I'd go with her. And I found it really fascinating that it was a quick appointment. I was working a little part-time job in an orthodontic office. So I kind of understood, in so many ways, kind of money in, money out. People come in, they're spending money. Things are not covered by insurance. But I found it fascinating that really within a couple of minutes, my mom was in, she was out, she was happy. And then within a couple of days, she didn't have those lines or wrinkles anymore. So I always had this idea that I wanted to be in medicine, but I didn't want to be a doctor because I didn't want to be in school for so many years. So being a physician assistant is a great middle ground. I'm very happy being a physician assistant. It's a great profession. And then, started my journey in medical dermatology. I worked for a great practice up in New York. But what starts to happen, and it just is starting to happen down here, but up in New York, what starts to happen is you got these companies that come in with VC money and they start taking over practices one by one. So that was what happened. I was working for a small group, small practice, I should say, left that office, started working for another group that at the time he had maybe 5 offices, and now 2024, fast forward, they have over 110 locations. But when I left New York, I came down to Florida. I only really wanted to focus on aesthetics. I've grown to be, what we consider a master injector, somebody that really understands facial dynamics and anatomy. And I wanted to put my focus not just in medicine anymore from like a medical dermatology, acne, skin cancer, but more on that cosmetic side. But then, the world changed, COVID happened, and, a lot happened after that. I had a baby, which was such an amazing experience. And, things just, I didn't feel fulfilled working for somebody else. So I looked at my husband and I said, why don't we open up our own practice? I have the expertise. My husband is also in medicine. He has an MBA in healthcare administration. So I said, let's see if we can do this. And it took about a year to get the, everything from start to finish. And we opened in July of 2023.
Was he on board from day one?
Yes.
I know that's like a hard conversation to have with your significant other, right? When you're looking at each other, and it's like, we have this much in our retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, right? We have this much in the bank. We just had a child, right? Most people that are around you saying, what are you doing? Like, I've been in that position,
Yes.
right? I had my child in New York City, and I'm like, I'm moving to South Florida and taking 2 steps backwards because I want a different lifestyle. And I knew that was going to completely hurt my income, right? And I know when you have 2 salaried type incomes coming in and you're in a new area and a new child, it's like, it's an uncomfortable conversation to have. So tell us more about that, because a lot of individuals skip over that chapter.
I look back and I think of every little minute step. So that is very important. Having the support of your spouse and also your family. I come from a very tight family, and they probably have said to themselves, and they have said to me, what are you doing? And, just a lot of questioning, and are you sure? So to answer your first question, yes, my husband was on board from day one. He saw the vision. He understood what we were trying to do, because we want to build long-term financial freedom. And I think that people say, and they hear those words. And I will say, I was also naive to the fact, you think that it's going to happen right away. You think that, I'm going to open up a new business and it's going to be great from day one. But there are so many nuances that go on to opening up a business, from, in my case, inventory, cash flow, finding employees. And then you have to put the hat on to be the provider, to give the patients the treatment. So what goes into it is, where the first question we said was, I'll take it even a step back further. I was looking for a new job. And I went on an interview, and the interview went really well. The compensation was really well, it was great. Everything looked great on paper. They were asking me what my schedule was, what I was looking for in a schedule, and we were moving forward. I was waiting for them to send me the final contract. We had a start date, and I got an email that said, we're sorry, we're moving forward with somebody else. And I was angry, because I said, well, I'm about to give my notice at my current job. So
you could frame that one in the future, right?
Yeah. So I had this, I was like, oh no, this is ridiculous. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to see if I can find my own business. I'm going to open up my own practice. What are the steps that I need to do? And during COVID, my husband and I had this idea for a business. And so we had a healthcare attorney on retainer. And so I just sent him a quick email, and I said, hey, what are the steps? If somebody wants to open up a practice, what are the steps? And so I started doing Google searches, blah, blah, blah. And I found actually an office that was looking to sell in pretty close to where I lived at the time. And, just to kind of skip over all of the, the whole thing, I basically went through due diligence, spent over $20,000 in attorney fees to find out that, what was on paper. Once my financial planner and my accountant got on the phone with the business owner, it just wasn't something that I felt comfortable moving forward with, for a couple of reasons. But then that fell through. So I didn't get the job. The business that I was looking to purchase, that had 3 years of established patients, had some money in the bank, had cash flow coming in, that was a no-go. I spent $20,000 in attorney fees. And so now I'm like, okay, 2 out of 2s, and this isn't great. So now what can I do? The other thing that I should say is, being a physician assistant, unfortunately, in the state of Florida, if I went to a hospital and I decided I wanted to work, that's not where I have experience. But if I was like, you know what, I want to start something new, I could. But the pay for a physician assistant in Florida is horrible compared to New York. So, when we left, my husband and I left New York, he left extremely, profitable, great job at a local hospital. I left an amazing practice, but we just wanted a new chapter. And so people thought we were nuts. We were giving up a big salary, but we were like, you know what? I had a great job that I was, going to move forward with down here. So working in a hospital or going to another office was not an option for me because I was not going to get paid like anywhere near what a PA that I was making in New York.
So did your husband stay with his job while you were opening up the practice, or you both went all in together?
Well, no. So he still is working. He still has a full-time job. He does both things. Like, so he runs the operation side, but he also has a full-time job, but he works virtual medicine. I mean, during COVID, that's how everything went and it kind of stayed. But, so basically I emailed my attorney and I was like, well, that didn't work out. So now where are we at? And what do I have to do? And the ball just started rolling. What started happening was he put me in contact. He was like, well, number one, you need money. To your point that you were saying earlier, it is very difficult to get any sort of money at all. I mean, they don't care like that you have money in the bank, that you have tax, they just are not giving money out. And so, even if you have, I spent weeks, months creating a business plan and charts and Excel spreadsheets. And they were like, yeah, sorry, we'll give you $100,000. And I was like, $100,000, like that's going to get me nothing, and one of the laser devices costs $185,000, so an inventory can cost $60,000. So to not have funding, like that was step number one. So it was kind of getting that ball rolling through somebody who had expertise in creating and opening up practices. And that was my attorney.
So how did you get the capital?
So
that's usually the elephant in the room, right? It's like,
so,
okay, I got it. We just got to get $1 million, right?
Right.
It's not easy to open up.
It's not easy.
A location like you're speaking about, because the amount of rent costs, the lease terms, and then the lasers.
Oh yeah.
They're so expensive.
They are.
And staff.
Yes. So he said the first thing you have to do is find funding. You need capital. And, obviously I wasn't looking to deplete my savings, my retirement and all that to start this.
Smart.
Right. And
These things are always risky.
Yeah.
I always, caution people against, kind of going all in.
Yes.
To the extent they can avoid it, and risk tolerance varies. But yeah, so
they're in 20s, no kids, go for it.
Exactly.
Cash it all in.
Well, then it's also not very much. Then
when you're
it's
married
like,
and you have a child.
put all 12,000 in. It's like, yeah, go for it.
Yes, and I always say, if my husband and I didn't have children, we've done that. We picked up and moved. We've done things that have a lot of risk to them. This was, my son at the time was a little over 1 year old. We lived in, and this should be mentioned. So, my accountant deals with, big businesses and deals with a lot of medical providers. And he was like, okay, this isn't probably like what you want to hear, but you really should go through the SBA. And I was like, nope, not doing it. Then I went to another bank, I went to another bank, and they're like, SBA, sorry, we only have an SBA option. And I was like, you hear horror stories about the SBA, and partly it's because of all the red tape and all of the paperwork that you need for the SBA.
I actually think that is not even, maybe it's partly, but I think that is overwhelmingly where the opinion comes from, is that, as opposed to other factors or other issues. SBA loans can be a great option, but I always hesitate. Like, there's a lot of paperwork.
Yes.
And there's a lot of hoops and a lot of bureaucratic, like, yeah, that's going to be a thing. But at the end of the day, they can be a great option for any number of business related transactions, and including, potentially starting a new location of something.
So going back to my attorney, he's wonderful. His name is Stephen Boyne, local, right out of Delray Beach. I mean, the group that he works for, they only do healthcare. And so I said to him, okay, who do you know that is a bank? Because you could do two things. Like, you could just go on like the website for like the SBA, but I wanted a little bit more of like that personalization where like I could get in contact with somebody if I had a question, you know, at 4 p.m. Didn't want to just kind of, you know, just it was between me and the government. So I needed that middleman, and so, or woman. And so he said, I have a client that is using this bank. They're out of, you know, they're on the West Coast, but they deal with, you know, startups and particularly med spas. And that was probably around August of 2022. And I will tell you, I didn't close on my loan until May of 23. And it took months. It took, and I said, I remember saying, this is not for like the faint of heart. Like the amount of information they need is like pretty much everything that you have that makes you, you know, you. They want to know tax return, just so much stuff that people, if they're not serious about starting a business, they will just be like, I'm done. I'm throwing the towel in, you know? So, yeah. So, but here's the little caveat. So we get through, you know, my husband and I were moving forward. I would put my son to sleep. I would sit on my computer. I would write up my business plan. Then once the business plan was done, I would send it to the bank. He would come back and he would say, you need to do this. You need to include this. They want to see this. P&Ls, you needed to have, you know, projections for 2 to 3 years. And after you had the projections, you know, after the first year, it had to be all itemized. I mean, it was really, really detailed. But then you think you're done and they say, well, you know, you're looking for X amount of money and the SBA wants to put, you know, they need collateral. You need to have a collateral lien. And what do you own? I mean, I lease my cars, so I don't technically own them. So what do you own? I own
Property.
my house. And I just could not sit there and listen. I look at this as, you know, who goes into opening a practice and is like, oh, it's not going to do well. Of course not. You know, you want to have success and you want this to flourish. But the idea of having a collateral lien on my home, which I bought right before the real estate market boomed down here, my house, you know, that I purchased was worth like quadruple what I paid for it. You know, so they would have a field day, you know, putting the collateral on a lien on my home. Plus, like, let's say I wanted to take equity out of my house, go to sell my house. I don't know. Then I have the SBA as first position, which
Yeah, absolutely.
And so my husband and I made the decision to sell our home. And it's like crazy. People looked at us and they're like, what? And I said, well, what else am I going to do? You know, if it was just my husband and I'll take the risk, but I have a child, you know, I have a son and I'm trying to do this business for his well-being. I have to do what I have to do. So when people look to open a business, my first thing is you think you're sacrificing. Yes, you're sacrificing to not spending time with your friends and maybe not going to the gym, but sacrificing is a lot more than just maybe not going shopping for a weekend or not going on that vacation. I mean, I sacrificed my home to start this. And so here we are, you know, I didn't own anything. So they couldn't put a lien on my home. So what they did was they you know, they put a lien on the assets of your business. So my practice is about 1,300 square feet, and all the inventory, all of the lasers and everything that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, at least if something goes wrong, you know, that's what they'll take as opposed to, you know, where I live.
Interesting. So you did end up going with the loan and collateralized it a little bit different. So
Yes.
for the listeners out there who are hoping to learn some stuff about this, so the SBA is a great option for getting a loan because I'll simplify it. We won't do banking hour here because everyone would fall asleep.
Yep.
But essentially, the United States federal government is kind of co-signing on the loan on your behalf. It's not exactly like that, but it's close enough for our purposes here. So you can get a loan at a bank without the federal government basically vouching for it. Would not give you. The bank would just not, right? So that's what the SBA does, and that's why it can be a good thing. And that's why, in part, it's a good thing that it's really hard. And you want to make sure that you're really committed and that you're doing every single paperwork and that you haven't stolen someone's identity and your financials aren't fake. And they want to make sure of that to kind of, hey, protect the American taxpayers. Great. Pain if you need to get one. But then the reason I don't always cover SBA loans when I talk about traditional new venture finance is at the end of the day, it's really a loan to you. It's not like here's an investment for your business. It
Mhm.
comes along with what is essentially a personal guarantee of some format or another. So that is not a loan to your business per se, even though it is. It's called a small business association, right? But it's really to you. It's no different than if you did take out a home equity huge check. Yeah, the bank would give you that.
Right,
They'll
right.
they just go to a big bank, right? Bank of America, where there are no humans. They type it into an algorithm. It comes back. You're approved for X amount based on
Exactly.
property. Here is money. We don't care what you do with it.
Mhm.
Sign a personal guarantee, or we take the house.
Right.
It's the very similar kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm not at all surprised to hear that, but it can still be doable. And it sounds like that was a really, really smart option for your unique circumstances, is to have it kind of on the business so everybody's protected a little bit, including you in terms of your property and
Sure.
those other external assets. That's another thing we always talk about when I'm teaching young founders, is like, keep those things as separate as possible as you can, right? And sure, just the basic everyday, don't commingle funds. Everybody does it at some point, at some dinner, at some,
It's impossible.
use the wrong credit card. But okay, fine.
You write the wrong check out of the wrong checkbook. I've done that one.
Even things that are outside the business, like your personal home, the extent to you can be like, can I peel these things apart, or can I get rid of the thing?
Sure.
So then it's not even in the equation, just to keep business stuff, and personal stuff, you know. So you may be able to do it to a large extent. Sometimes you can't, but always try. So
Yeah.
smart move.
Yes.
you.
And
But I will say, you know, that you know, the again, going back, I really stress what it takes to really get it up and running, you know, or any business. I mean, all I know is medicine in terms of, like, you know, like medical practice. So I can't speak on, you know, maybe you want to open a clothing store, or maybe you want to open, you know, another type of something that you're passionate about. My passion is, you know, aesthetics. I'm very passionate about science, technology, innovative treatments, you know, you know, but the thing is that in the aesthetics industry, things change overnight. And so when I opened my practice, you know, we can't control things like the economy and things like that. But what starts to happen is that, you know, and I will say, I was like, I was new, you know, I had a non-compete from where I left. So my patients in my previous practice, like, I couldn't, you know, post on social media, hey, come follow me, or call them up and say, hey, you know, I'm actually no longer going to be here, come see me. So I had to very carefully, you know, work with my attorney, because I didn't want to have any issues with that. Yesterday, we just found out the FTC no longer has non-competes. They're now no longer valid. You know, here we are literally a year later. But so I opened this practice with not having patients coming in. So I had to figure out, okay, I'm new in the area. You know, West Palm Beach is booming. There are new condos and new people coming in left and right from New York, from California, new businesses. So how do I stand out? And so you have to be willing to also put yourself out there as a new business owner. And then the other thing was spend a ton of money on marketing. And, you know, that's just, you have to, yeah, social media is great. And I would say 60% of what I do is on social media, but the other, you know, 40% is really that, like, grassroots effort and referrals and having that rapport with my patients.
Yeah, that's really important for any, you know, service-based, geographically constrained business. It's great to have a massive following online, but only if they're geographically
Right.
in the vicinity, right? Like, you don't want a bunch of followers from California who think
Right.
your work is awesome. The
Or I don't-
likelihood they come in the door
Yeah.
is zero.
And I don't, not that I don't love to educate, like, other providers, PAs and MPs, and, you know, but I don't want them to be my followers. I want people that live in the area, people that are not providers, because they're not going to come to me. They're just following me because I'm another provider and I have, great technique and they want to see, but that's not going to get patients through the door. So there is a really fine line also between like the business owner and the things that I have to think about and do on a daily basis, and then like the provider. This is a business at the end of the day. This isn't, it's a beautiful office and I love doing what I do, but it's a business and I'm there to create revenue and make money, So because what happens is, especially down here in Florida, there are so many med spas. And I don't like to call my practice a med spa. I'm not run of the mill discount Groupon place. I am an aesthetic medicine practice. My patient safety is number one priority, and giving them amazing, outstanding outcomes. But everyone's looking for a deal. And it's like, I can't give these deals and compete with other practices that are conglomerates, mega practices that have 7, 8, 9, 10 locations and then, have revenue. So that's hard. That's really hard,
Yeah.
And so
You bring up some great points, because often people think they have to price match all these other competitors. And the truth is, people will work with you because of you.
right.
And we see this common mistake with new entrepreneurs, and then their business goes under. It's like, no, you could charge a premium amount because you are giving them a premium service. It's you
Sure.
yourself, helping them when they walk through the front door.
Yes.
It's you responding on emails, right?
Yep.
It's you doing all the service usually, your first couple customers before you could start hiring additional people. So, often you can get away where a service should be 2,000, but you're charging 4,000 or 5,000 because people do just want to work with you, and those become your super fans
Right.
over time, and they're the ones that post about you.
Exactly.
So completely agree with you. We're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors, and we'll get back to the next segment shortly.
Join the fastest growing community of professionals on the internet with OWL. Access new networks and otherwise unreachable professional contacts through the one-on-one call feature on the app. Scroll through the list of available professionals and join them for a quick call to build rich connections, expand invaluable relationships, and to broaden your professional landscape without needing lofty referrals. OWL. We bring vetted pros to your doorstep 24/7 on demand. Join our community by signing up at owl.com today.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. As a reminder, you catch all these amazing episodes live every Wednesday right at 1 o'clock at Shrimp Tank Boca. We are doing it on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook these days. Okay, Cristina, this segment is called What's Hot?
Cool.
Okay, so what would be the hottest thing that Kevin Cox here should complete if he came to your office?
So right now, all the buzz is about doing non-surgical tightening treatments. And I just love this because living down in South Florida, everyone wears shorts and, they're in a bathing suit, but some people just don't want surgery. So I have a device. It's called Ativa. Everyone in Dubai and in Europe and Italy, this is like the hottest thing. So I probably am the first office in Palm Beach County to have this device. So it gives great surgical results, but you don't need to have surgery. And what it does is it tightens. So under eye tightening, eyebrow tightening, like if
Kevin, it's
face
amazing for you.
tightening. Yeah.
Kevin's on TV all the time. Kevin,
So
Kevin, you going in for your next treatment? You could
Ah,
give a great review.
maybe. Let's ask some more questions. So, is it a permanent solution? Or
So
is it a short-term thing that you have to keep doing? I'm busy, Jason.
yes, that's a great question.
And you need a lot
So
of money if you got to keep going.
yeah, that's a great question. So it's not, everything I do is non-invasive, non-surgical. So, the only thing that I would say is permanent to a degree is surgery, right? Having plastic surgery. But that being said, we're seeing great results like 15 to 18 months out. And it's a one-time treatment. Some of these treatments you have to do every 6 months or, every 10 months. It's just the name of the game. Non-invasive treatments require maintenance. This device, though, you do it once. We do a follow up at like 6 months. Typically, you're good for another 6 months, and then we kind of make another game plan decision if we need to do more.
And what's the cost range approximately for something like this?
It depends, cost. It depends where we're treating. I would say it can range anywhere from 1,500 up to 6,000, and that depends. Are we just doing your eyes? Are we doing your full face? Are we doing your legs? Are we doing your arms?
Oh, so you can do like larger areas
yeah.
as well?
Yes. And the other thing too is I just posted this great reel. I'm getting so many, like, people are loving it. It's about, people will say, well, how much does it cost? Well, compared to a facelift in South Florida, which is about 5 Chanel bags, if you went to Chanel, this probably only costs about 1 Chanel bag. So you're in, like I said, between 1,500 to 6 grand. So compared to actually having a surgical procedure, it's definitely more budget friendly.
Yeah, what a deal. You get this done and you can still grab a couple bags.
Yeah.
Go
and
down
you're
to
still
Louis
ahead of-
Vuitton,
and
not
you're-
Chanel.
Yeah, right.
You're still ahead of the
I
game.
should know the pricing of those, but I do.
You're a good husband.
Or you created a bad habit.
Yeah.
Some will say, right? You allowed a bad habit,
Yeah.
right? Financially, those are not good long.
Those
Actually,
are not.
at least those bags at least hold their value. I tell my wife,
Yeah.
right? Wherever you buy a lot of junk all the time at TJ Maxx,
Yeah.
$200, $400 bags, you can't resell them. At least a Louis Vuitton bag, if it's $2,000, you could resell it for like $1,500, $1,600 often. So they do hold their value more than the others. Same with watches, of course.
I love understanding buying habits from somebody from like a psychological perspective. There is truth to that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely something that happens in the mind when you like go into Target and you're really there for just like one thing, and or TJ Maxx, and you leave and you spend $400 and you're like, what just happened? But there's definitely
Kevin does this all the time. he's got these habits.
I don't remember the last time I was in a physical store.
No, Kevin, no Targets,
No,
no Target runs.
Yeah.
Just shipped.
Just ship it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You
a
don't have
big
time.
ship.
You don't have time.
Same here.
All right, so let's stay in the industry. I'll mix it up and say, what is something that's not hot anymore? Maybe it was something that was either a fad that everybody was doing, or maybe it's a treatment that turned out had side effects or long-term consequences. What in your industry is no longer hot that maybe was at one time or another?
Especially here in South Florida, this is something that I hear all the time, and it's the look of being and looking unnatural. That is so out, and unfortunately, there could be the the thought of filler equals unnatural, and that's so not the case. That is so, if you see somebody that looks overdone or fake or unnatural with aesthetic treatments, that's totally out. One specific thing, when I was working in New York, 2018, 2019, lip filler, because Kylie Jenner, came out with her, I guess her makeup line, her lip gloss, and she had these really large lips. And so I was getting a lot of patients coming in wanting these full lips that clearly looked fake. That's just not the type of provider that I am. So, I that was hard for me because I don't like to make my patients look fake or unnatural, but that was definitely a trend. We don't see that anymore. People they want very natural aesthetic looks, even in the younger patients, like the younger, like Gen Z, the Gen Zers, like, who are spending so much time on TikTok and Instagram. They're obsessed right now with skincare, naturally based skincare. So we're seeing this shift in aesthetics as a whole to doing more of these laser treatments or things that make your skin quality better, doing more natural, looking enhancements with filler. So gone are the days of looking, oh, this person is looking fake or, not, has filler, to looking more, oh, they look refreshed or youthful. And we can still achieve that. It takes skill, it takes technique, it takes, having that, passion and that like artistry to deliver that.
There's hope, Kevin. There's hope.
Yeah, but that's what I would say.
You found the one.
Yeah, I think that's good. That seemed like it got out of hand for a while.
Sure did.
Yes, especially in South Florida,
You can still find it in South Florida
you
if
can.
you're out and about.
Yeah, certain areas definitely. It's like the Wild West.
Let's jump into marketing for
Sure.
a moment.
Yeah.
Because most small businesses fail not because they're not good experts, not good at what they do. They can't drive enough traffic through the front doors.
Sure.
Right. You often see a lot of people that are not the best in your industry, but the revenue doesn't lie. They're doing something good on the marketing
Sure.
side. So let's talk about influencer marketing. I see it a lot in your channel where you get someone from Instagram, right? And we've had them on our show. We had one that had 4 or 5 million followers, and I would slowly see her go into places like yours and like, look at this, it's amazing.
Yes.
Right. And these services are quite expensive, so you could barter with them. So have you played around in the bartering world with influencers?
It's funny, where my practice is located, there's not so many influencers. There's a lot down here. There's a lot down to the Miami area. So are there, and I would love if somebody's watching this and you have a local influencer, Palm Beach, West Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter, I would love to meet them.
You're sitting next to one right now.
Oh,
Kevin's got about 6 million followers running
okay.
the Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. Everyone knows him around this town.
So, but yes, there are some influencers that will barter with you, that will, for a post or for a reel, I'll come in and, you do a treatment on me. But I should say that, when we purchase product from these companies, they are, people may not know this, but a vial of Botox cosmetic is like $650. It costs me to buy it. So unless we're really like, the influencer has a lot of value that they could put out there for the practice, and more not so much about, here's my Botox cosmetic treatment. It's like, spend the day with me, and it's kind of more natural. I feel like there's a little bit more people are more gravitated
And a lot of
towards
their
that.
followers are not local. That's another big issue.
Right.
So a lot of people have transitioned outside of influencer marketing because they're looking at the costs involved, and it doesn't always work out with local businesses. So what is the hottest thing when it comes to markeing in your situation?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it changes a lot. I really do. I think that just back really quick about the influencers. There are some influencers that, you will reach out to, and they want money. They want to get paid.
Ridiculous
They want, like, some people want $5,000, some people want $1,000. Okay. But where's the return on investment? I'm not just going to give you $5,000 and not see at least 5,000 to 10,000 back.
The problem I see on that point is a lot of times they just want to hit and run.
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't work anymore. So if you really want to do something bigger, is make a contract up for 12 months with the influencer.
Right.
That's what we do with Owl. So that way, like, we have all these brand ambassadors, but we have no care in the world to pay an influencer to just post one time about our brand.
Right.
Because it's not going to work. People have gotten smarter. They want to see that influencer in your seat every 6 months, every year, and then you consistently show the results.
And, to the point of the med spa being on every corner, it's like, how do you create that loyalty, right? So, there's already some influencers that may already be part of another brand that they're kind of, so it's like, where's the loyalty? You do need to have that contract, because they may go to you one month, they may go to you another month, and that's not a good look, A, for the influencer, B, for the business. Marketing, though, right now, it changes. There are so many marketing companies out there that promise the world and, say that they're going to over deliver and, over promise, they under deliver, spending
more do that than
And
reverse. They're good at selling all the data.
Well, they're mostly good
at
some of them are mostly good at selling their services as opposed to your services. So it goes back to the thing you already mentioned, which can be really challenging for a physical location. It's that ROI, right? Return on investment. I'm sure you'd be more than glad to spend $40,000 if you can guarantee that over the next X amount of time, it's going to net you 80,000. But it's like, that stuff gets really hard to prove, especially with a physical business. So when it comes to like influencers and the internet, I deal with a ton of like tech companies, right? Software, e-commerce, they can sell the thing on the internet. So it becomes real easy when an influencer says, 5,000, 10,000 to say, here's what I'll do. You promote it. Everybody who clicks through that link, I'll give you a profit share, right? but no money. But that's not something that's easily accomplished
Right.
when the whole business isn't on the internet. And that's what I encourage my founders to do, is say, just share the profits with them. And if they don't bring you any profits, they don't
don't
make any money, but you don't make any either. Hire them all day, but structure it in a way where the ROI is kind of built into the agreement.
I love that, actually. And I would love to see how many, though, of the influencers in like the beauty space would actually go for that, because they're, a lot of them, they have, it's again, back to like this, the psychological, they have all these followers, people see them, and they, not everybody, but they probably haven't seen that yet. They haven't had that be addressed to them. So I'm
Well,
gonna,
they don't listen, so you got to be careful.
so I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
So
I
you
like
may
that, though.
you may present it, because I
Yeah.
presented stuff like that to
And they
a
don't,
lot of influencers. We've done a big campaign, and you can't get through.
right.
So
Right.
they're not looking at the messages.
Right.
They're looking for the quick hit.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
it's easier when they're getting quick hits from a lot of brands at
Sure.
$1,000 to $5,000 for a quick hit, and they do that multiple times in a month.
They're
Right.
making great
They're
money.
making great money. So what happens is, when you present, hey, this is going to be better long term, they're not thinking about the long term.
Right.
So
Right.
when
I know,
he
that's
asked,
just from my opinion.
when he asked you what's hot, though, I felt like I knew the answer to that one, and it would be kind of the same. You said it changes some, but isn't, in terms of marketing, I mean, it's not a traditional marketing category, but I put it in there. Isn't it, at the end of the day, most consistently referrals?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
that's typically going to be what's hot. If you do a
Definitely.
great job, people will say, wow,
Yes.
especially if it's something on someone's face
Yes.
where they can notice, why do you look younger today?
Yes.
Most people are going to say, I got this great spot in
Yeah.
West Palm. They might say it a little quietly over in the corner, but they'll say, and they'll share, and then those people will share. And that is a really great way to
Mhm.
build business,
Yep.
because it doesn't really, the only cost of it is providing an excellent service, which is, if something you're already doing, it's great. And then if you can add some, some things that don't, hurt your bank account too much, that are incentive programs to just really be like, hey, I do appreciate the referrals. Here's what kind of, programs I have in place to kind of just a little bit of incentive. And it usually doesn't take much. If you're doing a great service, a little bonus here and there, a special thing, a little gift, a gift card, whatever. All those
agree.
things can help.
One of the things that I will say is, you hear a lot of the same verbiage. You hear, you have to give excellent care. You have to go above and beyond. Patients or consumers, they remember how you made them feel. I didn't really understand that until becoming an actual business owner. It really is how do you stand out? I say there's a nail salon on every corner. There's a hair salon on every corner. How do they stand out? When I'm having days, and not every day is a perfect day. Not every day is, amazing in the practice when, having patients come through and they're spending money. But I say to myself, what makes this office unique? And it is how we make the patient feel and their experience. Then second to that is like the expertise and the outcome and everything that they get. So yes, word of mouth referrals is hands down the best. It costs nothing, but in regards to, what you have to put out, you just have to really care. You really have to have a passion for it. You can't think about it as, dollars. You have to have a passion and a knack. And then second to that is you hope that they go and they tell their friends and family. And, one thing I do is, when I have a new patient that comes to the practice, I write them a handwritten, like, thank you for coming to the office. I think the way that everything is in a lot of how do we confirm appointments is text message. Everything's text, everything's automated, but where's the personalization? Where's the, how do you make the patient feel, versus the other text message to confirm their appointment that they got from their cardiologist. So I tell my team, you have to pick up the phone, don't just rely on the text message to go out. We can stand out by calling the patient. Another thing is if I have a patient that refers a lot of patients to the practice, or even just one patient to the practice, I'll send them a Starbucks gift card, with a handwritten note. Thank you so much for referring so-and-so. Sometimes I've sent flowers, so those things, it's not, it's just because I care. And I really do, as a new business owner and as a small business, I really do appreciate them. I wouldn't be able to continue without that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right about the text messages and all the automated electronic communication. I feel like in the early days of that, it worked fine
Yeah.
or better, because I think a lot of people who weren't technically or software savvy didn't realize that like there's no one doing that. That's not from a person. And I think at this day and age, everybody knows that like no, that's all automated.
Yeah.
But early
AI,
on, I
everything.
think people were like, "Oh wow, they text me." And
Yeah.
it's like, no, they didn't.
What I'm a big fan of is voice notes. So
Yeah.
instead of texting people back, they don't understand the tone in your voice. Things get taken the wrong way. You just quickly do a voice note, and you can do it while you're driving as
Sure.
well. And I'm finding that's very helpful. And it saves you so much time because you're typing a text message or an email, and often you're like, what am I doing here? You know, it's just taking so much time. And sometimes
It does.
you can't
It
call
does.
them because they're not going to pick up their phone. No one picks up phones anymore unless
No
they
one
know who's
does.
calling and
Yep.
it's a scheduled meeting. So that really works. And creative things I've seen is I just got like a candy order. There's I forget what company it is, something sugar something. If you Google it, and it just emails you like, you know, thanks for the referral, and then you click it and you get to pick out a candy package or a cookie package.
Oh,
So it's pretty cool. And I looked up the price because I was curious, and they're like $30 to
Oh,
$100,
wow.
you know, but most of them are like $50 all in with shipping. So when someone provides you a referral, then it's kind of cool. They get a little treat that they got to pick out. They customize it themselves, and a few days later they get it. Right. So
That's
it
great.
works like the gift card to Starbucks,
Sure.
because often when you're a new business owner, you can't afford to do those bigger things. So
Yeah.
the easiest thing is a handwritten note,
Right.
and just buy one of those packages of like 10 Starbucks cards that are $5 each. And every time it's $5. And people, it doesn't matter if it's 50 versus 100. It just matters that you did it.
Sure.
So I think
I
that's
agree.
the big
The
difference.
most interesting thing about that to me is that cookie and candy company got themselves a good little business model.
Yeah, it continues because they keep getting.
Yeah,
I was searching
that's
for
the
it.
real winner.
Okay, it's Sugar Wish. Sugar Wish.
Sugar Wish.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, like I just got something, but now that company like may hook me.
Sure.
Like, I should do this for my client.
Right.
And they made money on the other one from
Genius
the other.
business model.
Yes,
Yeah.
I like that.
Really true.
I like that.
Yeah.
It does.
I like
Okay.
that.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to jump into our Plead, the fifth segment of the show.
Step into our state-of-the-art innovation lab and create your digital future. Oz uses cutting-edge technology and 22 years of industry knowledge to enhance customer experience through digital innovation in a variety of expertise. Oz is a leading global consulting company whose services and solutions are trusted by startup, midsize, and even Fortune 500 companies. Get to know more about Oz's Salus, a mobile solution bringing us back to max capacity, and their latest solution, Rainmaker, saving insurance companies years of work. To learn more about Oz and their exciting technologies, visit followoz.com. That's FOLLOWOZ.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. Okay, Christina, this segment of the show is called Plead the Fifth. We're going to ask you a
Right.
question. If you don't want to answer it, you just say, I plead the fifth, but you're only allowed to do that one time. Or Kevin will never come to your facility and do any services in the future.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's talk about your worst customer experience ever, right? In these situations, South Florida, people come in, they want everything under the sun. They're like, that person charged me $2,000. Why are you $4,000?
Mm.
You grumpy customers,
Mhm.
of course. So what was your worst experience? Are they still part of your coming in, or did you have to nicely say, you know, sorry, I don't think it's a right fit?
Or you could plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth.
No, I'll so but
They might hear this. They might hear this. Might get uncomfortable.
One of my first patients, like literally first patients that came to the practice,
Perfect.
stole a full-size skincare product from the room. Like she came in for a laser. We put the product on afterward. I literally walked out of the room, rookie mistake. And she walked right out. We were looking for it. That was one, you know, which we never saw her again.
Welcome to South Florida.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then, you know, just the typical patients that, you know, this is all this happens, whether, you know, they just, oh, I don't see a result that I'm looking for. And that's because, you know, you're undertreated. You didn't listen to what I suggested, and it just becomes the daily headache.
All right, so I'm going to stick with the business because we've asked this very same question before. I wonder if Jason remembers, but man, it was a great answer. So I'll go back.
He's coming back at me. I have a feeling.
So no, we had a good answer to this from a similar kind of treatment facility. So what is the oddest request a patient has ever made? And did you do it or not?
Well, I mean, this is going back. Oh God, this is going back. And one of the, oh God.
This is going to be good.
Oh, get the popcorn out.
Ugh.
This is,
Or
not part of her.
You can plead the fifth, and
current
we'll
life.
ask after the
Might be
show.
when she was working in New York.
Yeah, it was. I was working in New
I wanna
York.
know
Okay,
this.
fine. I was working in New York, and it was a male patient who pretty much would follow me from office to office. I was, seeing him for a full body scan, and he was stark naked underneath the gown that, we gave him, which, okay, fine. Like, typically people will leave their underwear on, but he really was adamant about me checking his rectum and private area. And it was so uncomfortable. Like but the way he came about it, and then he kept coming back like every 3 months, with the caveat to this was that he was very religious, and it was very awkward for him to want to see a female provider for this. I know it's like kind of like, and that's really all I'll say, because it was just, and some of the verbiage too was just a little inappropriate. So
Yeah, I mean, if it's like a skin cancer scan, like you don't typically get a lot of sun in those areas.
it was the way he like bent down, he like spread his butt cheeks. It was a horrible experience, and it was like, okay, maybe the first thing, and then it kept happening 3 months later. It was almost like he was obsessed with seeing me, and it was to the point where I was like, I can no longer, he only needs to see a male provider. And as soon as that happened, he never came back.
Nice. Do you remember, Jason, what the request was last time I asked that question? It was about getting rid of wrinkles completely in a very similar area, on a male place that
Scrotox.
Is that what it's called?
Yes, I don't do that. Like, I don't have. I've never had.
Neither did our other guys.
I've never had a patient.
What?
I've never had a patient ask me for that. Number one, and number two, another thing that is out there in the aesthetic industry, but I've never had it, is having penile enlargement with filler. It's really big in certain like areas of the United States, like cities and such, but I've never had either of them asked from me.
Well, there's always tomorrow.
Awkward, like this,
Well, we're talking about down below. Do you do laser hair removal?
No.
Okay.
Not a moneymaker. Not a moneymaker. I mean, no, it's not. But
okay, no. I think she got through the plead the fifth segment. So, Cristina, for audience listening, what's the best route to get in touch with you these days?
So you can check us out, Bespoke Aesthetics PB on Instagram. My personal one is Cristina Bespoke, so Cristina Bespoke, or check us out on our website, bespokeaestheticspb.com.
Well, thanks for joining us here on the Shrimp Tank, everybody listening.
Thank you. Thanks
We'll
so
be back
much.
next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Take care.
Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it takes